Hello everybody, my name is Salvador Lua. Today we're going to be playing with water in something we call water tinkering. And we'll start with our first project. This is our water vessel, our water container. We'll start with a bendy straw. This thing can move whichever way you want it to move. You can make a loop-de-loop, you can make a, make like a rectangle, you can make it go straight up, right? But the main thing that this has to do is go in here, only about a 1/4 inch, just a little tiny bit. Right, and then you're gonna grab your glue gun, put glue all around this. Just like that. Magic of editing. So once you have it, once the glue cools down, you want to make sure that your straw is still clear and there's no. You want to make sure your straw is still clear and there's no glue obstructing it. And then you can start playing, you can start tinkering. So one of the first things you can do is mess around with the straw and you'll hear that it's amplifying the sounds. Right? Maybe you can scratch something, or you can put it in somebody's ear and talk into this one and see what happens. There's a lot of sound things you can do, right? But then once you're done with that, we can start tinkering with water. I want to see what happens. We'll take a little cup, right? I made a loop-de-loop, and I want to see what happens with the water when I add it right here. And it just shoots out. Right. Well, what if we turn this into an S? Let's see what that does. It's a little bit less powerful. You can move it around. You can go straight down. If your friend has one too, you guys can experiment with both of them and see what happens with all these. You know, you can put one in here, put one here. Maybe you can make a infinite loop of water. Who knows? But yeah. So this is our water vessel. So that's the first part of this project. Okay. Second part, we will grab a tongue depressor. And we're gonna grab a bobby skewer. This point is sharp, so that's the one that we're gonna use to glue onto this. So you wanna glue about an inch, maybe an 1.5 inches of this tip onto this tongue depressor, just like that. So you grab, I got one right here. Okay, once it's cooled down, it should look something like this. And you want to make sure that, so this thing is going to go across the top of this water container. Okay, so you want to make sure it reaches all the way across at the narrower point. It might fit that way, that's good too, but we'll stick with this for now. After this, so the reason we have this, right, is because we're gonna do some experiments on this. We're gonna put 3 different items on this. Well, actually 4 different things to experiment with our water. And the first one is gonna be a water wheel. So the water wheel is made out of these two pieces of plastic. So it's a salsa cup and a bunch of tape. So we'll get a big piece of tape like this. And you can start cutting 2-inch strips, maybe 1.5 inches. Put them onto the side like that. And what you want to do is pinch the center together, like this. And you want to make a little flat, a little fin like this. And you tape that onto the side of your salsa cup. See how that sticks up? Okay, so we're gonna repeat that. Right. So now this has little holes in it, so I can slip right over this bobby skewer. It spins. Okay, now we can start experimenting. So we'll take our cup, our water container with a straw, and we'll fill that up. And right away you can see how it's working. So you can experiment with the angles, maybe the quantity of water, maybe the height, how far away the water's falling, right? There's a lot of different things you could do. And again, if you have a friend, one of you can put water on this side, one of you can put water on that side and see what happens with that. Yeah, you can do a whole bunch of fun stuff with this. And that's the water wheel. All right, so the next activity is the water dipper. So it's made up of a ketchup cup, a tongue depressor. We're gonna cut a piece of paper straw. We're gonna use tape to put it all together, and I'll explain why later. And we're also gonna need a binder clip, one of the big ones. All right, so the way we start this is we're gonna tape our ketchup, the little ketchup cup, onto this right here, this tongue depressor. Just gonna go around like that. Make sure it's nice and solid, because again, this thing is gonna get wet. And the reason we don't want to use glue on these, you could use glue, but you'll quickly realize that it'll fall off as soon as it gets wet. So we're gonna use tape, and that should hold it together pretty well, at least for one day. Okay, there's that. You wanna find the center of your tongue depressor, and that's where we're gonna put the straw. So that's the center. We'll cut a section that's about, it's like 1.5 inches. About that big right there. Okay, and then we're gonna grab a piece of tape, nice and long. You want to put the straw right in the middle of the tape and tape that down. Right. And that's not going to hold for too long, so we're going to reinforce it by wrapping tape around here and around there. The center of gravity is not right here, right? Because the cup is heavier, it keeps tilting it. As soon as we add this, we're gonna shift the center of gravity again to where the cup is lighter, right? Let's see if I can find it. So you'll see the center of gravity is somewhere around here, right? So that means that all this weight right here is close to equal what this weighs right here, from here to here, right? And that'll be important once we put it in the water. I'll show you what it does. Check this out. Leave that there. Put that there. And as soon as we add water to this, you see how it's shifting? The center of gravity is moving up. So right now, somewhere down here, as soon as we add water, it keeps moving forward, and once it reaches this pivot point, the water tips over, or the whole thing, the whole dipper tips over. Look at that. And then we lose the water, and then it regains its original position. It's kind of cool. All right. And again, we can use our water container to do some cool stuff with this. See that? It's almost like a machine. Cool. Okay, so now we can add a second binder clip. All right. So let's say we add it up here. What's going to happen? Kind of shifts that. Let's say we add it down here. All right, so now we have 2 binder clips on at the bottom. Let's see how much water that needs. Oh, it's resisting. It's resisting a lot more. There's that. You can add more binder clips, you can add rocks, you can lower the binder clips. Right. If you put it way down though, it's gonna add more of a pivot. It'll require, whoa, that'll happen. But yeah, there's a whole lot of things you can experiment with. Right. But yeah, that is the water dipper. All right, and then the very last one, we're gonna grab one of these boba straws. They have 4 lines already on them. And you want to cut a little bit less than halfway down each one of these 4 lines. Just like that. You want to be able to fold these down, almost like a flower petal. See that? And you want to bend these. So you're making another wheel. It's a lot smaller. And it has it's more of a propeller shaped. Like a boat propeller. Alright, and the same thing, we'll throw it on this. And then we'll see what happens. Yeah. You can build it a lot better than I did. You can mess around with the lengths and the widths of all the propellers. But it should spin pretty well. Let's try this one. Here's a different style. You can see how that one spins a lot better. But yeah, that'll be your little propeller. Then once you're all done with this, you can grab your syringe, right? And then this thing's gonna create a lot more pressure than this cup could do. Unless you're smart and you like figure out how to add more pressure to this, which there is a way to do it. And I can make these things spin really, really fast. Look at that. Let's try it on this one. It's way faster than the last one. Look at that. And you can do the same thing here. And now you can actually measure how much water is needed to tip this thing over, right? Versus how much water is needed to tip it over with 2 clips. The way you measure is with this milliliter gauge right here. Starts at 12, ends at 1. You can already tell this one's taking way more water. Yeah. And then once you're done with all that, you can grab a little block, set it down there, and do some target practice. Just like that. Cool.